Hi, this is Christian, and welcome back to NFL Updates Express, your weekly dose of NFL news. Coming your way, the Thanksgiving Day special episode. I'm grateful to finally be back here on NFL Updates Express as the 3-7 Houston Texans take on the 4-6 Detroit Lions at Ford Field. Now, most people aren't going to be sprinting to their television sets when they see these teams with a 4-6 and a 3-7 record, but I feel like this game could have the makings of a solid contest. You have the Lions' three-headed rushing attack with Kerryon Johnson from Auburn, rookie running back DeAndre Swift from Georgia, and of course future Hall of Fame running back Adrian Peterson, all running the show in the backfield. Now for the Texans, their rush defense is one of the worst in the league. I believe it's the last in the league at 32nd, and so this will be a very beneficial matchup for the Lions to take advantage of. Now the Texans offense will have to put up some points against the Lions defense that can hold their own. Now last week, the Lions got shut out 20-0 against the Carolina Panthers, and they're not the greatest team in the world. They're a solid team, but not terrible. And so I think for the Lions, their offense is going to have to be more consistent than it has been this year. And I think the Texans can provide that. Now the Lions offense, they have Marvin Jones Jr. and also Kenny Golladay if he's back healthy and ready to go. He missed last week with an injury. Now for the Texans wide receiver core, they probably wish that they had kept DeAndre Hopkins, just a thought. He has been doing fantastic with Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, and the Arizona Cardinals as they have resurged in this amazing season for the NFC. And overall, the Houston Texans season hasn't been going the way that they had hoped. Their defense will need to play better against the rush if they have any hopes of winning this game. So who will emerge victorious in this first Thanksgiving Day contest? Well, I think it's going to come down to quarterback play, Stafford versus Watson. And in this matchup, I trust Watson just a little bit more than Matthew Stafford, who's been dealing with a thumb injury. And so I'm going to take the Houston Texans in a very narrow win over the Detroit Lions. For the next Thanksgiving Day matchup, it's an NFC East divisional matchup when the Washington football team at 3-7 take on the Dallas Cowboys, also at 3-7. Now again, when you look at these records, you may ask yourself, why are these teams playing on Thanksgiving? But the reality is that one of these teams at the end of the game will be leading the NFC East division, unless there's a tie, of course, and that would be fitting for 2020 and for this division as a whole. And for the Washington football team, well, they've had some quarterback troubles. Alex Smith has played pretty solidly after Kyle Allen had a terrible injury, breaking his leg and out for the season. And the Dallas Cowboys have also had a similar struggle dealing with a quarterback controversy as well. They had Gucci Ben DiNucci as well as Garrett Gilbert fill in after Dak Prescott's horrible leg injury as well. And so both of these teams are in very similar situations, but the great news for them is that everything is still ahead of them. They can still make the playoffs, and who knows, maybe even win a playoff game. Now for both of these teams, they're going to have to rely on the rushing attack. Now there's not much that needs to be said about Ezekiel Elliott. Now he has struggled a little bit with fumbles, and with a pretty tenacious football team defense, then he might need to watch out. Tony Pollard has been a solid backup for the Cowboys as well, and so if Ezekiel Elliott happens to have an injury during the game, then Pollard could fill in pretty nicely. Now for the football team, they have three running backs that have scored touchdowns this year and have done extremely well. Peyton Barber kind of started off the season with J.D. McKissick, but it's been rookie running back from Memphis, Antonio Gibson, that has been running the show, nearly crossing the double-digit mark in touchdowns this season. He's been explosive, has rushed for over 100 yards a couple of times this year, and has been easily their best running back. Now also they have Terry McLaurin at wide receiver. In my opinion, he's the most underrated receiver in the National Football League. He makes plays from all over the field, can take it a short hitch route and take it the distance for 60 yards, or just beat you on a speed go route. On the other hand, you have the Cowboys. They have Michael Gallup at wide receiver, rookie CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma, and of course they have Amari Cooper from Alabama, a three-headed monster that will definitely be able to help out Andy Dalton. Now this game will be very interesting. The Cowboys are at home and had a very impressive win, I might say, against the Minnesota Vikings. But the last time the football team and Cowboys played, it was a 25-3 blowout with Kyle Allen running the show at quarterback. Now with Alex Smith, I think they'll play just about the same, and so I do expect another close game. I think the Cowboys do have momentum, but as we've seen in the NFC East, nothing is predictable. Now in this game, I think it can go either way, but ultimately I think that defense is going to get the job done here, and so I'm going to take the Washington football team to narrowly get the job done on Thanksgiving Day. And as 2020 and fate would have it, in the middle of me recording this, the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers game has been postponed to Sunday due to positive COVID tests with the Ravens. Now we already saw at the beginning of the week, running backs J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram tested positive for the novel coronavirus, and now there's been some other tests today on Wednesday, and so I think it's the right decision. I mean, you don't want to risk it, especially if they play this game and then the Steelers start to get COVID, and then it could be a domino effect. And so to keep it as isolated as possible would be the wise decision, and hopefully they can play the game on Sunday. And this will be a game that needs to be played for the Baltimore Ravens especially. The Steelers are 10-0 and will most likely win the division at this point, but the Ravens really need a big-time win. Dropping to 6-5 would put them 5 games behind the Steelers, essentially clinching the division for Pittsburgh. And the Ravens may be out of the AFC playoff picture, with the Browns doing extremely well, the Raiders doing extremely well, the Dolphins doing extremely well, and even the Patriots are sneaking up behind, and they have the tiebreaker if the teams end up 10-6 or 9-7 for the last AFC wildcard spot. And so we will have to wait until Sunday, maybe Sunday night, maybe even a Monday if it gets postponed that far, to see this matchup. But this is a game that must be played, and I'm really excited to see it. It's time for Float Madness. Now, one of my favorite traditions on Thanksgiving Day is watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But in a hypothetical situation here, if they had 3 NFL players, who would be most deserving of a float this year? Now, the first player I have is pretty obvious. Quarterback of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Now, he has been extremely productive every year he's been in the league, and the Super Bowl MVP and NFL MVP has taken the league by storm. He's the face of the NFL now, and I feel like this would be a perfect fit for him. Now, the next player I have may come as a shock to some, but Vikings running back Dalvin Cook. His 2020 performance has been extraordinary. He's been dominant this year, and I feel like he just doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. There's other great running backs like Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, and also Derrick Henry, but Dalvin Cook is among the greatest running backs this season. Finally, the last player I have is an emerging young star from the Arizona Cardinals, quarterback Kyler Murray. Now, the 5'10" quarterback has played extremely well this year, keeping the Cardinals in the NFC playoff hunt. And overall, I just feel like Kyler Murray will be one of the top 5 quarterbacks for years to come, and this would be a great spot for him to get on the national spotlight. It's time for fantasy analysis. Who should you start, sit, and flex on Thanksgiving Day? Now, the first player that I have on the docket is Antonio Gibson, the running back for the Washington football team. Now, I've already talked about him earlier in this episode, but I'm really high on him. At the beginning of the season, he was more in a timeshare committee with Peyton Barber and J.D. McKissick, but he's really emerged as the top running back for the football team. He scored a touchdown in the last 4 contests that he's played in, and overall, I feel like Gibson is a safe option for your running back 2 position on your fantasy football team. The player that I would stay away from on Thanksgiving Day would be quarterback Matthew Stafford. Now, I like Stafford as a player, but he's been dealing with the lingering thumb issue and had under 10 points in 2 out of the last 3 weeks. So overall, I just don't think this is a very favorable matchup for him. I think that the Lions will be focused on running the football with DeAndre Swift if he's healthy, and also Peterson and Kerryon Johnson. And so overall, I expect the running game to be the emphasis and Stafford to be at the back end of things. Another player that I would consider putting in your flex spot would be Dallas wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. Now, the last time the football team played the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb was held without a catch. And so that is somewhat concerning to me, but I really think that CeeDee Lamb has found his bread and butter. He's caught 4 receptions in the last 3 games, so he's been very consistent there, and also has a touchdown in the last 2 games. So maybe he's developing some rapport with Andy Dalton, and also before that it was Garrett Gilbert at quarterback. And so overall, I think that CeeDee Lamb could have a pretty solid performance with around 12 to 15 points.